Okay, guys. So this is the video for the infused oils for class. What I've done is I measured out 4 cups of filtered water. And the reason why I didn't use sink water is because of the chemicals. I wasn't too sure, especially with our well water. We have a lot of rust in our water. I didn't want to disturb the process, so I decided just to use filtered water. So that's what I did. So we have 4 cups of our water, two tablespoons of our citric acid, and I dissolved the citric acid in the filtered water. And then while that was dissolving, I added 6 ounces of whole peeled garlic, and I put rosemary in there, basil, and thyme. And that is really the amount of herbs that you put in is really up to your taste. But the reason why we have to do this in citric acid before we do infused oils is because we need to raise the acidity level of the garlic and the herbs, or the oil will not be shelf stable and will go rancid, or you'll run a very high risk of botulism. So that's why we're doing this, is to raise the acidity level of our herbs and garlic. We do not have to do this, by the way, with our vanilla oil. So just keep that in mind. Do not do this with the vanilla bean oil. I'm going to try to piggyback the vanilla bean oil in with this video. So we'll see if that works. If not, it'll have to be a separate video, but that's fine. But anyway, so that's what we've got so far. I've poured that directly over the top of everything. And we have to make sure that it stays submerged. So I'm going to put a plate right on top, just to make sure nothing floats up to the top, and it's all going to be submerged for the 24 hours. And then we are going to cover this and just leave it on our countertop for 24 hours. We're not going to put it in the fridge. We're just going to leave it in a dark place somewhere in your kitchen. And then tomorrow when it's ready, we'll strain it, give it a quick rinse, and dry it very well, because we want it to be as dry as it can be before we put it into our oil. So that'll be a process for tomorrow. So that's what I've gotten so far, and I will bring you back tomorrow when we start the process of the infused oils. Okay, guys, so it has been 24 hours. This is where we are right now. My process to get to this point is all I did was strain my garlic and my herbs out of the citric water bath. I gave it a very quick cold water rinse, and I laid it on a tea towel to dry. And we want everything to be completely dry before we add it to the oil. So be patient. You can even use paper towels if you need to finish up the drying process. But we don't want to add water to our oil. So make sure everything's dry. I then measured out 2 pints of the milder tasting olive oil. The reason why I chose milder tasting is because I really want the garlic and the herbs to infuse into this oil, and I want to taste more of the infused items than I do olive oil. It's your preference, your kitchen, your rules, but that was my choice. Now, I did pick up these really cute jars at Meijer. I thought they were really cute. These will not be what we're using in class tomorrow. The jars that we're using in class tomorrow will be, they're very similar to the jars in the first part of this video. So I don't want you to be thrown off because I'm using canning jars. This process, because we soaked it in citric acid, will be shelf stable for quite a while. Okay, so they do not need to be in a canning jar or anything like that. You can just set it in a cool, dark place. I do recommend an airtight seal on whatever container you decide to use. I do recommend that, okay? So I measured out 2 pints of the milder tasting olive oil. I put it in my pan. I made sure everything was dry, and then I added it directly to my pan. Now, just a little nugget. I noticed this morning when I was pulling all my herbs out that the basil and the thyme had started turning brown. Now, that it's still fine to use, no harm, no foul, just to give you a little heads up here. So if you're doing this at home, I do not want you to think that you've done anything wrong. There is a reaction in the enzymes between the citric acid and the thyme and the basil, and it does cause it to turn brown. The rosemary looked phenomenal. Don't be startled when you see that. It's perfectly fine. I would not use it in a dish of any kind, or I would not eat it per se, but to infuse the oil, it's going to be perfectly fine since it's not literally going to, just the flavor of it will be in the oil. So just want to make sure you're aware of that. So our next process, now that we've got everything in our stock pot, is we're going to heat the oil to the temperature right before boiling point, okay? We don't want to boil it. We just want to maintain the temperature to get all that good garlic and herb flavors into the oil, okay? So that's going to be our next step. I need to clean my mess up, and then I'm going to bring you back and I will walk you through the rest of this process. Okay. Okay, guys, we're back. So I've heated my oil almost to a boil. So I can see some bubbles coming up from the bottom. So let's watch it for just a minute because I have a feeling it's getting ready to start boiling. And then on this side, I have my handy dandy strainer and my glass measuring dish. And then I'm going to walk over to my microwave and heat my jars. Make sure they're nice and hot. Yeah, you can see the... All right. So I am good with that little bit of boil. So I'm going to strain it off. I'm going to let that sit for just a minute. Finish draining. And then I'm going to get my towel out because this is going to be kind of warm. All right, I should have had those jars warmed before I started this process. I apologize. That smells really good. All right, I'm going to pull out my rosemary because you can actually store that rosemary inside. Now that we've acidified it, can store that in the jars to make it look pretty. I don't want to burn my hand. I know I got another one in here somewhere. Oh, did it all fall off? Ah, okay. Well, I've got one. Be fine. All right, my jar's beeped. I mean, it's a good thing I'm not a pro videoer, huh? I'd be fired. Okay. Then we're going to pour the oil into our jars. Hopefully I don't make a mess. I'm going to stick that right down in there. Are you getting dizzy yet, guys? All right. And that's all we're going to do. We're going to wipe the rims and put our lids on, if I can find them. And as always, like every other video, I have forgotten my vinegar. So hang tight. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. It's hard to do with one hand. All right. And again, we're not going to have canning jars in class tomorrow or Saturday. We're just going to have the jars that we did the vanilla extract in. So hang on, let me tighten these down. There we go. That's pretty hot. And there you have it. So I was hoping I had another stem of rosemary for that, but I don't. But that's okay. So this is what we're doing tomorrow. Remember, just some key points here. You have to acidify if you want to make it shelf stable. There is some of the research I'm reading. It's shelf stable after you acidify your herbs and garlic. You can keep that at a room temperature for roughly 6 months, or you can freeze this and keep it for much, much longer. But if you don't have freezer space, this is good. I would not make big batches of this because more than likely it probably would go bad before you had a chance to use it all. But that's just my opinion. You want airtight bottles. Some websites said it'd be better to store them in dark bottles. But I feel like a clear glass bottle is just as good as long as you keep it in a cool, dark place. And as always, when you open these up, if it smells funny, if it doesn't smell like it did when you put the oil in the jar, I wouldn't use it. I'd rather be safe than sorry. But we'll go over all of this to Saturday in class. But yeah, I don't know if you can get a good video with or a good view of it with the light shining in. But so this is what we have. So, okay, guys, I will get this uploaded and I'll answer any questions in class on Saturday. Okay, guys, so I'm going to attempt to incorporate this at the end of the garlic infused or Tuscany infused oils. This will be your vanilla bean infused oil for your baking. So what I've started with is I have the 100% grapeseed oil. I did go with a better version. Any of the oils you use, you would want to go with a better version. I know Walmart has a very large container of oil, but I just want a better version of it, especially since it's going to be sitting and I don't want it to go rancid. So I'd rather just pay a little extra. Plus, this would be a good gift for Christmas. I mean, I'm planning on doing a lot of this stuff, the homemade vanilla extract, the vanilla sugar, and then I'm going to be doing the vanilla bean infused oil as well. So I think that's phenomenal. I had one jar left from my own stash, and I thought, you know what? I am just going to use that jar, but I made sure I labeled it that it's the oil and not the extract. So anyway, what we're doing here is we're going to take 1 cup of grapeseed oil. And, you know, I wonder if it would be good with like an avocado oil. But anyway, the research I did was grapeseed oil. So we're going to stick with that. I took 1 cup. And then I took, it's 3 vanilla beans, whole vanilla beans. And you slice them down the middle, just like we did in class. And then instead of scraping the beans out, you're just going to cut them in little pieces, okay? You're not going to scrape the beans. You're just going to cut them in little pieces, and then you're going to put them directly into your little jar. The concept is still the same. It's going to take a little while for the vanilla to infuse in the oil, so it's going to have to sit for a little while. You do want to use an airtight container, obviously. So the reason why we've cut them like this is because the beans have to be completely submerged. None sticking out of the top, okay? And I kind of cheated because I wanted a strong vanilla bean oil, so I used 4 vanilla beans, but the recipe only says 3 per 1 cup of grapeseed oil. So I did the prep ahead of time. So let's see how good I can do this without making a mess, okay? And holding a phone. So let me see if I can do this. And I have to concentrate. Ah. Okay. And I would think that you wouldn't get a whole lot of baking out of this. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I guess because if if it says calls for a cup of oil, then that would be all your oil. So I think I am going to add a little bit more oil to this. I mean, I do have 4 beans in it. So, and it's really to your taste. Whoop. So let me see if I can do this again without spilling it. Okay, so I went right up to the little lip there. And then I'm going to seal it up. Airtight. And that's all you do. I'm going to give it a shake. And then I'm going to store it in a cool, dark place and give it its time that it needs to infuse. But that's what we're doing in class. So this one's very, very easy. So, yeah, that's what it looks like. Interesting, right? And then as you use the oil, please don't throw away your beans. Just add the oil back to your jar because you can use this several times. So I don't want you wasting the beans because the beans are very, I think, pricey. But so yeah, you can probably refill this, I'd say 4 or 5 times, maybe even longer, or maybe even more. So yeah, so that's what we have. So we'll be doing this in class, and I'm excited to try this. I think this is going to be really, really good. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later.